So I had to put on my glasses for this one because this one's more empirical. Um, I'm going to be getting into the ICE protests or the anti-ICE riots that are happening currently in Los Angeles, California. And there's smaller ones all over the states right now. And the main argument I am, to preface, I am full Mexican. I do consider myself white. I do consider a lot of, I it's somewhat you could say Mexicans are white. I'm not going to really get into the admixture that occurred in the New World and why Spain and Spanish colonies became more white than say other groups. But yeah, I do consider myself white. I do believe Mexicans are white, some more than others in that category. But nonetheless, I do consider myself white, and I have a European spirit. I'm Catholic. I believe in white people and that they should have their own homelands. But I do want to get into this contentious issue because starting out, my main argument is, and I did put this on TikTok. It got a few likes by white people because they get the logic. But you know, if you're liberal and you see this, I know this is going to go in one ear and out the other. So I know you'll hate white people nonetheless because they're the oppressors, and this whole Frankfurt School myth where everybody's a victim if you were ever dealt with by white people. So therefore, I have the right to hate white people, and they're the eternal oppressors, and we're the eternal victims if you're gay or black or whatever, a Jew or whatever. But yeah, my main argument starting out, transpose or put the shoe on the other foot, and you put all these hypothetical belligerent white people in Mexico. Almost any Mexican president of the past would kick them out or deport them, which is what Trump and a lot of his admin want to do, right? Which is why they're ramping up these deportations. And I'll get into why it actually won't happen as my last point. But nonetheless, you transpose, you switch roles, and any Mexican with nationalistic tendencies would kick them out. Maybe not Scheinbaum, who's currently the Mexican president. This woman, she's liberal leaning and whatnot. There would be some more middle ground, and they would find some place to displace them in. But nonetheless, you got a violent group. Any right wing leaning president leader would displace them or show um, firmness in this conflict, or I wouldn't say conflict, I would put it more like issue. And yeah, I mean, these are people who, going back to the actual situation, for the most part, they're economic migrants. They come here for a better life. You know, I, I have, I came from that stock as well. So I sympathize, I understand that plight. But what these people are advocating for is that their issues become the whole the whole they're advocating for their issues to be part of the issues of Americans, and that just doesn't really make sense. There is a queue, so to say. There's a priority list, and how it should be is Americans are at the top, and if there's any surplus, which right now there couldn't be, there's a fiscal crisis that is at its boiling point. I mean, they're just kicking the can down the road. There's no money, there's no resources for that. On top of that, there is this, as I said previously, there is this anti white sentiment. So they feel, because they're audacious and they have this spirit of ungratefulness, actually, because Mexicans are grateful people. They are very communal, and say you're a neighbor to them or something, they will like share someone. They might like cook you or invite you to a thing, but they are tribal in a certain sense. So once there's this conflict, they congregate to themselves like other groups would, right? So, I mean, I will concede that there is the younger crowd becomes more like a BLM, more militant, starts riot. Like a lot of the rioters, they're not like the old Mexican cleaning lady out there, but they're more of the younger crowd, like a pseudo BLM type of thing, and they're more militant and like what are they called, like Chicanos and them, and like sneaker. And I like sneakers, but like you get what I'm saying, like a more street culture, and black people join in, even though they're not Hispanic or anything. Um, but once this proves, by the way, identitarianism and why race politics matters, because when shit goes down and things and there's disparity, people become tribal and they say, "Oh, that's my kinship right there. I'm gonna side with them because race matters." That's a other, that's the underlying argument of this video. Um, but yeah, as I was saying, Mexicans, there is more of a hospitable culture with Mexicans, and they do come here, and a lot of them are hardworking people who, I'm not going to get into tax nuance, but there is that right wing myth that they don't pay taxes, and they just, a lot of them, most of them, I would say, are on government benefits, so they are draining the system in some sense, but a lot of them are taxed. I haven't done tax research on what percentage of illegal immigrants who are working pay into taxes and all that. But I do know that some of them do. I don't know if it's most of them or a small percentage. But nonetheless, they are a drain on the system. They go to hospitals, they get the bill, passed on to the taxpayer or whatever. They're on food stamps, their kids are a drain. Um, it's not the most pro education culture. It's not like Indians who come here and get college degrees, or Nigerians, or Asian, or like, Chinese, Korean, So a lot of them do come here and work menial labor and the crappy jobs. I work. I've always worked. Blue collar, like menial bullshit, like fast foods and above. Like, but not above white collar. Um, so the point being is, I'm kind of losing my points, but I do have a script here to stay on topic. But yeah, that spirit of ungratefulness, once they realize, oh, we might get deported here. You shouldn't be here in the first place, but there is a. I do summarize it with that whole BLM thing, the riots that are happening. It's like, if you're gonna behave this way, why should we have you here? If you're not gonna assimilate and respect and have some humility and not start like how black people do. I'm gonna just be frank. You irritate a black person or you inconvenience them, a lot of them will, not all of them, obviously, and not maybe not even most of them, but I saw a video like yesterday of a black person getting upset and they just destroying shit in the store, and that's what's happening now with these riots. And despite that hospitable nature that Mexicans may have, and that neighborly behavior some of them might display, you see what's happening. It's evident. They're destroying stuff, and it becomes, like I said, a pseudo BLM thing. So there's that. And on top of that, they don't see kinship with the white people, despite some overlap in the figurative pie chart that we both countries may have. They don't see kinship with these white people. They see it as this is the new Stasi, this is the new Nazis, like MAGA's the new fascists. Like, okay, at first I tell myself, like, then go back. Like, I don't get that. I don't get that logic. Because you know, I'm gonna be completely honest. Because when Trump first came out, I was in high school, and I was like, just I wasn't as red pilled on politics, so I was more like, he's racist to me, then just say you're racist. But my conceit now is that everybody's racist because we're all tribal, and the reason I would hypothetically support Trump, I've never voted for him because I somewhat knew that he wasn't really gonna be a change maker like how he advertised to be. But I would support it because it's about the. I have made this argument to people in the past, just like in little simple conversations. I have said I would be about it in principle. If everybody got deported, all the Mexicans, then I would, I'd be willing to go back. I'm not gonna like die. But there's this cognitive dissonance of this isn't. Do you realize this is not? You're Mexican, yet you're here and not in Mexico. And there's this culture of a lot of cultures have this, but in this case as well, they're saying like, "How dare you question that I can't be here? Like, is this Mexico?" That's why they're still trying to make that argument that, well, actually, if you look into it, California was actually part of. Well, it's not. The border is not around the top of California and then goes down. It's not there. It's past San Diego, and that's where the border is. So Mexicans, in principle, should be over there. If you have any sense or any understanding of geopolitics and the confines of what a nation is, it's about a border and being able to enforce it. So when they speak this way, it just not only does it describe how little understanding they have about statecraft, but it shows that attitude, this flippant attitude of how dare you question, like, I can't. This is why I don't like liberalism. There's this what's entitlement, that when these people have, yes, they're hard workers, but they come here to pick strawberries and do like yards, or I say those people, my people. I'm not, whatever adjective I use, it doesn't. My sister's like, you realize she gets all lip tarted, and she's like, you realize you're Mexican too. I'm like, do I have amnesia? Did I forget or something? Just because I say those people. But I mean, like, in this case, they come here, they do little crappy jobs. They're not building infrastructure I mean, you could say construction, but they're not the foremen. They're not, for the most part, they're not the engineers that design the bridges and landlines or whatever. So they're not contributing much in terms of building the actual state and all that. So that's why I don't consider it. They don't really have a stake as they want to make it seem as they do. So that is one thing that just really doesn't make sense to me. It's just a lack of understanding and just a disrespectful attitude. I mean, would they be burning and destroying? They destroyed like some Indian guy's 7-Eleven. Like, what does that have to do with anything? That whole LA culture of riots and shit. It's like I said, I mentioned black people, and I see some shit that has any type of institution, a storefront or anything, I'm gonna destroy it. Because how does that prove your point? That's just saying you should be expelled. So it makes no sense to me. Um, I might not even get too much into the script because I had some help with AI, and it's not the. I mean, I mentioned the strain on public services. I mean, people are well aware of this. I mean, it's just if you go to LA, I mean, everybody's Mexican. It's crazy. Everywhere you look, it's a Mexican, and if you go into a hotel, it's an Indian. Um, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but yeah, that's kind of my take. I might have to end this right now because I don't have much more to add. But yeah, they're not. As I said, this does prove the point when things get contentious, when they realize things get real, people do stick to their tribe, which makes the best argument for race politics and why it has to be openly spoken. Um, but yeah, nonetheless, I'd be willing to go personally. You know, at the end of the day, I am Mexican. I would make the plea that I have more of a white identity. But in principle, I support the native population being in that land. And I know you can make the argument like the red Indians and all that. I don't really get into that because they just use shaming tactics. But that's my thoughts on these LA riots. And oh, I almost forgot to mention. I think they should go down. These deportations should ramp up and escalate, and they should deport millions more. Um, but I do believe they won't happen because of Trump's pattern of displaying this rhetoric, but then backing it down once the media brings on a tidal wave of criticism. So I really don't see it actually continuing. He has amped up the military reinforcement in LA, but nonetheless, there's gonna be a de-escalate. I think there'll be a de-escalation because Trump seems to, you know, I do like Trump, but he is like he does bluff on like everything. So I do think this will be the brunt end of it, and I think it will wind down. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little monologue on that.